What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today, I'm excited to bring you a blade battle. We're going to be doing a competition of the Chevalier button lock versus the Kaiser Begleiter 2 button lock. I thought immediately when I got that Begleiter 2 in hand that this was going to be an awesome battle. I've moved away from doing the point system. It's very involved, and I love the thoughtfulness and the depth of that, but I thought it would be, I think it's more fun for me, and hopefully you're enjoying it as a viewer, to just kind of go from the hip, going through the two knives and talking about them, what I like and what I don't like. These two knives I actually like very much. Now, I've heard some people talk about how the Chevalier was very underwhelming for them, and I guess I'm surprised by that, by some of the reviewers. I think it is a very excellent example of a new knife from Civivi. I think what they were hoping, though, is that it was going to be like a conspirator with a sheep's foot blade. For me, though, I think the Chevalier is an awesome knife. It has performed really well. I dropped the angle down to 18 degrees on this one, and man, it is really just the 14C on it is really nice. So let's go ahead really quickly. Let's just do the weight of these two because I don't remember them. So we'll bring the scale out real quick and see which one is going to win the weight battle first, and then we'll get into the knives. First up, the Begleiter 2. Whoa, it's on grams, guys. Let's go back to ounces. There we go. I didn't even know I hit that button. 3.3 ounces. The Chevalier, which weighs the same as the micarta, I've tried them both. 3.2. So the weight going to the Chevalier at 3.2 versus 3.3. But in all honesty, these are both really lightweight carries. All right, let's talk about the knives. First up, we're going to talk about the blade steel. You're getting 154 cm on the Begleiter 2, and I don't know where the 14C28N is written. I didn't realize that. I guess they didn't actually mark this blade with the 14C28N anywhere, but you can see the 154 cm here. So I would say this is going to be a tie for me. I think 154 cm is well rounded. I think 14C28N has a fantastic edge, has good edge retention, nice toughness. Both of these have very good toughness. Either one of these are going to be a really good steel for an EDC knife. Even if you're using it a lot, it's going to be really easy to strop these up at the end of the day to make sure that they continue to hold that edge for a long period of time. Now let's move to the pivot. Both these have ceramic bearings in the pivots. Excellent action. I think both of them have the bronze washer. I have not had to take this one apart yet, and I don't want to if I don't have to. So I'm going to assume that it has the bronze washer and the pivot that house the ceramic bearings. They both advertise ceramic bearings, and I had taken this apart to clean it and make sure that there was nothing in the edge after I did sharpen it. Now let's talk about means of deployment. Here you get a nicely done, very well done jimped flipper tab, really geared towards the light switch, but you can push button, but it is a little bit more pokey to push button, so the light switch works really well, and it equates to fantastic action. Really like the action on this. Now with the Chevalier, you do get the flipper tab, you get a more rounded tip so that you can push button as well, but again, this one feels like it's more geared to be light switched. But you also get the fuller that adds a little bit of a reverse flick. It is not big enough or sharp enough to do the thumb flick comfortably. You have to really kind of, for me, with larger hands, I have to wedge in there and kind of make sure that I'm catching the meat right here next to the nail. So I got to be in a specific position. But you do get dual means of deployment. So in that regard, I would give the edge to the Chevalier. But both the flipper tabs work fantastic, very nicely. All right, so we talked about weight going to the Chevalier, the blade steels being a tie, the action a tie, means of deployment going to the Chevalier, so that would put the Chevalier out ahead slightly in two categories, very slightly. Not even writing this down. Can you believe that? I'm surprised that my old ass is remembering this stuff. Now let's talk about the scales, handles, and ergos. Now, for both knives, they're going to tie for the fact that they have a reversible deep carry pocket clip. I would give the advantage to the factory pocket clip from Kaiser. I think it's a little bit better done. I did go out and buy the Banter pocket clip for the Chevalier, which makes it perform just as well. So functionally, they are identical. They go in and out of the pocket well, hold the knife in pocket well, and perform really well. I just feel like the factory clip from Civivi is a little bit more pokey when it comes to ergos. So I guess pocket clip would be a tie, but for ergos, that's going to be a point off. Now, since we're talking about ergos, you can only get this particular model with carbon fiber and G10. This is a White Mountain Knives exclusive. On the, I think the review video, I said Smoky Mountain. I meant White Mountain Knife exclusive, but you can get this, I believe, in G10 from other areas, and I think it's just like the basic G10 colors. For the Chevalier, you can get micarta, G10, or wood. So you get more options, so you get a little bit more of an advantage to the Chevalier. From the ergos, I honestly am going to give both of them a tie. The ergos feel very good on both of these. You get a little bit more chunkiness and contouring from this slender profile, which feels fantastic in hand. That chunkiness makes it feel really good, but you still get a nice chunky vibe from this one, even though it's a little bit more flatter. It does feel like it swallows into the hand a little bit easier because it doesn't have the contouring, but it still ends up feeling very comfortable, and I think they did a good job with the sweep to still give you enough of a puncture here, so you're in a really good position for the puncture task. Really good position for this one, but that doesn't have anything to do with the ergos. We already talked about the blade. I would give them a tie in that category. Button work, the button functionality, it's a little bit different on these two. You get a little bit more of a round, pronounced, proud button here, even though it does have a little bit of a recessed here. I'm not sure if, like, yeah, actually I kind of do get it with the contouring and the recessed. You can actually have this making pretty good, I'm giving it a good press. Hopefully you can tell by the white nails, and it's not moving. Even if I go in a little bit, it's just a little bit of wobble. I don't even think you can hear it, probably because the fan's going, but it is moving just a tiny bit. You see that? But it's not coming disengaged. You'd have to go past the recessed piece, so you got to push this in further to disengage it. So it does help a little bit with that. Whereas this one on the Chevalier, it's definitely more flush. If you lay your hand across it like full on, I'm squeezing as hard as I can. Does the same exact thing as the Begleiter. You get just a tiny little bit of wobble. When it's engaged, it's locked up solid. You do get the flat button versus the round button. That's going to come down to preference. Which one do you like? Do you like having the little hump here to push and it feel round in hand, or do you like the flat with the ribbing and you're pushing that in there? I think actually the button on, oh sorry, it's slipping in my hand. I don't mean to move it around so much. I think the button on the Begleiter is a little bit bigger, so I don't know. At least the button itself, I'm not sure about the lock. The detent, oops. Detent feels a little bit heavier on the Begleiter, the lockup, and I bet that has to do with the fact that it probably has a bigger button, so it's making more contact with surface, so it's got more to grip onto. This is a little bit smaller, has less to grip onto, but they both feel really smooth. This just feels more snappy, where this one feels a little bit more dulled down, but when it's deploying, it feels snappy, and the lockup feels a little bit better on the Chevalier. The lockup here, it feels good once it is locked up, but it feels like it has to be exactly locked, that if you let it bounce, it doesn't catch and lock. Whereas I feel like with this one, you can slam, ooh, I didn't mean to slam it against the table. I hit the table and yeah, you see it still came back down. So even like when it's close, it feels like it's sucking in. So if it bounces, it's gonna pull it back down. See? Whereas this one here doesn't feel like that. It feels like once it breaks, I pushed it. Right? Yeah, so right there, you got to get it exactly perfect. So there's definitely something different with the design of the button locks. Hopefully that makes sense. In the end, and I know people are probably going to be disappointed, if you like carbon fiber and G10 and you like the bolder colorway of the Begleiter, that's going to be your go-to. If you like the clip point more than you like the sheep's foot, the Begleiter is going to be the one you go to. If you like the micarta and the wood, that's going to be a better option for this. If you like the sheep foot better, the Chevalier is going to be your pick. In all honesty, I would tie these up. I hate to leave a video saying that they're tied, but I think they're equal in so many ways that it's impossible for me to pick one. I like these knives both very much for a very slender, gentlemanly knife, steak knife. Like if you're going to a steakhouse and you were going to pull something out that you were going to cut your steak with, this would definitely be a knife that either one of these knives I think would be fantastic for it. Also, the fact that they both have reversible pocket clips and can be ambidextrously carried. They're really good options. I think they're very nice knives, especially if you like a more slender blade. And I keep saying a more slender blade just for reference. I'm going to bring out the SIG K320, and I'm going to bring out the Shaman. Let me put it down here so you can see what I mean by just a more slender knife. If you like that, I like having variety in my carry. If you can't tell, I keep a bunch of different types of knives because I do enjoy all the different ways that they can be used and the different things that they can do. I don't think that I would pull this out in a steakhouse to cut my steak with. That's what I'm saying. Like, I like stuff like that gives, like, I know that's a very specific example, but I like stuff like that. I can also feel confident pulling this out in the office place versus, or in a more formal setting even. I feel more confident or more comfortable pulling these out than the other two that I mentioned. So for me, this is going to come down to a tie. These are both fantastic knives. I like them very much, and I can see these staying around for a while unless something that occupies this territory comes in and wows me a little bit better. Now, having said that, would either of these replace my ProTech Malibu? I'm afraid not. I love the aluminum. I love the diamond plating, the 20CV, the reverse Tonto, the button lock functionality is just so much nicer. The sounds so much nicer. I think the aluminum and the stop pin just create such an awesome acoustic, and it just feels so good. And I have such a great example of one. I couldn't see these replacing it, but I'm telling you, these are getting really close to that experience, because if you don't want to spend $240 and you can't support a US button lock, these are really, really hard to argue with, guys. These are both really good knives, and again, really well made. And I know some people think that it's very tinky, like tink, 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 when you deploy that, but I think it just sounds really cool. It's like shink. I'm going to leave it at that. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, leave a like. It really does help me out, and I appreciate the support, honestly. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. If you are subscribed, thank you for all of your support. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your support and comments. It helps me so much trying to grow the channel and to continue to be motivated to bring you this content, since I know that you're enjoying it. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. Oh yeah, don't forget to follow me over on Instagram as well. And until next time, peace.